So Dashakam 45 Bala Leela, Dashakam 46 it's a continuation. So now slowly the different leelas of the Lord start. So Bhattatri starts. Aideva Pura. Pura is once. Once upon a time, O Lord, you were sleeping on the back of Yashoda. And while you were yawning, one fine day you opened your mouth. Vishwam Achashtavallavi, wherein you showed the entire universe to Yashoda Devi. And once what it so happened is Punaraha Punarapyatabalakay samam. Once you were playing with kids also, at that time what happened is you did some cheating also. So you had a competition amongst you all to collect fruits. Phalasanchaya vanchana krudha. What you did is all of you were collecting fruits, but you cheated them. You ate more fruits also. That's when the other children they got angry. And they came. Now here little you can say there might be little variations wherein those other children who were there, they came and they complained to your mother, Tad mrid bhojanam, that you have eaten mud because you stole their fruits. They came and complained to your mother that, you see, Krishna has eaten mud. That's when Bhattatri says that at the time of Pralaya Kalaha, Aite Pralaya Vidhavo, during Pralaya, you eat everything. In fact, you gulp the entire earth also inside your stomach. That's what we believe in. What to talk about mud then? But your mother, she didn't realize this, right? For her, you are just a small child, and she worried, saying that you might fall sick. Ruja bhavet, ruja meaning to fall sick. So therefore, she calls you and says, "Have you eaten mud?" Ai durvinayatmaka, oh naughty one, oh mischievous one. So this is again the Leela of Yashoda. She says, "Have you eaten mud? You please tell me now." But you, when laughingly the Lord kept on denying. He says, "Vithatam tvam, vithatam tam pratijagnishe hasan." Verse number 4. He says, no, laughingly he said, no, no, I have not done that. That's when she says, "Please open your mouth. I want to see." That's when fully mukham vikasat padmam nibham, like a full bloom lotus, you opened your mouth, and that's when nothing. The mother was able to see just little bit of mud, a pimrillava, little bit of mud, and in fact, to give her satisfaction, not only now mud is called earth, right? EARTH. So not only little earth, you decided to show her the entire earth. That is ultimately the universe. This is again the Maya of the Lord, and what all she saw, what was not seen. Kuhachitvanamambudif kvachit kvachidabram kuhachidrasatalam. Sometimes the forests, then the ocean, sky, rasatanam, patal lokam, manuja, danuja, human beings, demons, kvachit suraha, sometimes gods. Dadishe kimna tadatvatanane. What not did Yashoda see? She saw everything inside the mouth. Verse number 7, an important verse. What all Yashoda Devi saw in the mouth of the Lord, that is described. Further, she saw you, O Lord, sleeping in the Yoga Mudra position in the milk ocean. Again she saw Punaf Paravaikuntha Padam. She saw Paramatma also in Vaikuntham. And then she saw her son in front of her. And in different ways that she saw you. Finally, she saw all the worlds. Again, your mouth was open. She went on seeing all the worlds, seven heavens, seven hills, Suraloka, Brahmaloka, Indraloka, all the worlds she was seeing. And you were showing her the entire universe. At that minute, what happened? Dhritam, last verse, Dhritatattvadiyam. Yashoda Devi, she came out of a trance, it seems. And at that, like she went to another world, right? Suddenly the child opens her mouth, she saw what not inside. She came out of that. And the Lord, what he did was, Iti upasajan bhagavan adbhuta bala pahima. Similarly, now Krishna realized that, oh, now I have to be a normal child to my mother. So, affectionately, pranayena mohayan. He affectionately goes and hugs his mother and says that, Stanamam badisha, says, oh mother, give me milk. That's when she calls him near and says that she sucks him milk. So that's how the Lord, this was a Leela of the Lord wherein he shows the entire universe in Damodara Avtaram. That is next, shows the, not Damodara Avtaram, this is showing the universe wherein the Lord says that you come near me, I'll show you the entire universe. Finally, the Lord realizes that no, I'm in Krishna Avtaram and the son of Yashoda. I also need milk to survive. That's what he feels here as a little boy. Finally, he goes and he embraces Yashoda and asks for milk. That's how Yashoda Devi gives the milk. And that's when Adbhuta Bala Pahima Bhattatri cries out. He says, "You're such a wonderful child. A minute back, you were showing the entire universe. Now, like a normal child, you're asking for milk. O Lord, Adbhuta Bala Pahi Mam. Please protect me also like you have protected everyone. This is Dashakam 46. Dashakam 47. Here once what happened is, now these are all again Krishna Leela stories. So one fine day, Ekada Dadi Vimathakarini. Once while Yashoda Devi was churning curd at the time, the Lord approached her and said that please give me milk. That's when she used to stop and give the child milk, it seems. And that's when suddenly, while she was giving milk, also the milk to the child, milk which she had kept on fire on the gas stove, whatever in those times, it started overflow. So that's when she suddenly, all of a sudden, keeps the child aside and goes to see the milk. This angered the Lord, it seems. Now that's the reason why today also now these are all references that are told, that why this can be one reference. It is said that you see children when they drink milk or so mother's milk, if you leave them or if you pull the child aside while it is still drinking, the child will always start crying, right? It gets angry, it gets disturbed, it gets irritated. Why so? It started from Krishna Leela stories. Secondly, there is another here also. Here Krishna did not cry, he got very angry because the child doesn't know, right? For the child the only source is milk. Now, especially for us also, if you're eating and if you have to get up 10 times, obviously we get irritated, right? So the same thing here also. That's the reason till date it is believed that children cry whenever you offer them milk. And you see sometimes mothers also, they will purposely pull the child, right? Because the child is so much used to that milk. More than the milk, the child is used to that sucking habit which is there. So that's the reason it needs something to suck. That's why sometimes children suck their fingers also, right? Why? Because they need something to keep on sucking. And they feel that as if it's a sense of protection also. That's the reason sometimes people suck their fingers also, right? So this was one reason. Secondly, from this day onwards, it is believed that no mother, now don't be afraid of this because many of us we do it, but still, whenever the milk is boiling in the gas, we should always stand there. Many times it happens with many everyone that no, I'm standing here only, I don't know how the milk fell down. This happens with most of us. It is said that milk should never overflow. That, that whenever milk overflows and falls down, it leads to a danger to your children's life, it seems. Because here in Krishna Leela stories, the same thing has happened. Yashoda Devi runs away after keeping milk on the gas. She puts the child down, and from that day onwards, it is said that every mother, whoever, whenever the milk falls off from the stove or gas, it's a danger to children's life. So this starts from Krishna Leela stories because Krishna got angry here that Yashoda Devi left him in between and went. Oh, Rajanji. Hmm. Hmm. That is an exception. Correct. Only in that reference you can allow the milk to flow, and of course during the festival of Pongal that we do. So that why that is there is it is a sense of abundance. That's when I'm blessed with abundance also. That's why we allow rice or milk to flow and fall down. That is an but usually you should not allow milk or anything to fall down for that matter. Here Yashoda Devi does the same thing. So Krishna is angry and he says Sami Pitarasa Bhanga Sangha Krodhabara. He gets angry. Now, of course, in this reference, what happens is the mother was giving him milk. So she pulls him away from her breast. So that is one more reason he gets angry. And secondly, the milk in the stove started overflowing. So she left the child and went away. So that's when Krishna, it is said that because you leave your child and go for something else, so which whoever, it is believed that whichever mother does uh, such things for them, they lose the child. Of course, these are all things which are told. How much we believe, it's up to us. But that's the reason why usually you should not allow milk to fall down. Yeah? Okay. Further, because the child here now Sami Pita meaning Krishna had drunk milk half, and suddenly like he was drinking milk, he was joyful. At that time, slow. What happened is in a rage also what he did, the curd which Yashoda Devi was churning, he ended breaking that. Dadi bhajanam tvaya uchchaladvanitam uchchalad. Meaning, a huge sound came in. That's when Yashoda Devi comes running and she saw the curd which had fallen on the floor. And how this curd had fallen, Bhattatri very beautifully describes Tvadyasho Visara Darshasa. Just as, O Lord, your fame had spread in all the three worlds, similarly, curd are also spread on the floor, it seems. And now she, it seems that she knew that this was done by Yashoda, this was done by Krishna only. She gets very angry on the Lord, and what she does was she goes in search of you. That's when she could not find Krishna for a long time. That's when finally what she sees, Sukritini Ulukhale Diyamana Navanitam Otave. The Lord was feeding butter to the cat nearby. Otave. Otave meaning to the cat. So that's when she gets very angry and she says, why are you feeding curds or so to the cat? That's when the Lord says that, like in the previous 45 Dashakam, Shukabidalan, he says that these are all also my creation, my friends. So I'll feed to all of them. You are no one to come and tell me because you are the one who left me in between. So that's when he ended up feeding butter. Ulukhale Yamana Navanita Motave. He ended up feeding all the butter which Yashoda Devi had churned to the cat. And finally she got very angry. She caught hold of the Lord and she took a rope. Vandanaya Rasham. Rashanamupadade Damodar Avataram. All the friends were also standing there. Now, to punish alone is one thing, and when you have friends also standing nearby, someone else seeing it becomes more insulting, right? So, purposely, Yashoda Devi and all the other friends of Krishna were also standing there. That's when Bhattatriya says, Bandho mechati yamaiva sajjanaha. Just as good people want to be bound themselves to the Lord by devotion or bhakti alone. Similarly, Yashoda Devi, what she wanted to do is she wanted to tie you with two fingers. With her, she wanted to tie you with her two hands also. And the entire world wants to be tied towards you. That is want to be bound towards you. But here Yashoda Devi in this avataram, she is trying to tie you. That is Damodara avataram, but the rope falls short and she attaches Rashana, Gunan, Bahu, and many pieces of rope she attaches together, but everything is useless. That's when finally all the friends, Yashoda, the fellow Gopikas also were watching what is happening and so on. She started sweating, she got tired also. And that's when Api Aho Hare Bandameva Kripayan Vaya Kripayan Vamanyataha. That's when the Lord finally he feels sorry for his mother and he gets tied by those ropes. Tiyatam chiramulu khale. That's when she says khala iti. She calls out to the Lord khalaha. Khalaha meaning oh thief, roro. She says just stay here to this mortar. This is Damodar Avataram, Dashakam 47. And she says whatever little butter you have, you and your cat both stand together and eat that and stand here only till I leave you. Yadyapashasu gamo vibo bhavan. Finally, Bhattatri concludes, apashaha, apashaha. Those people who are desireless, free from kamam also, they are bound by desire. That's how Yashoda Devi also does the same thing. She bounds you with a rope. So thus, those who sing your glory is also in heaven. Divijay abhishtutaha vatanata paripahimam gadat. O Lord of Guruvayur, I am also singing your glories. Please free me from my ailments. With this, Dashakam 47 comes to an end. Okay. So Dashakam 48 talks about the Shapa Moksha and Damodar Avataram of the Lord. So Damodara Bhagavan ki jai. So how the Lord got the name Damodara? Muda Suraughaiv Tvam Udara Sammadaihi Udirya Damodara. So a group of sages who were very much pleased with the Leelas of the Lord, they ended up naming the Lord as Damodara. And they used to chant the names of the God, they used to glorify the Lord and so on. And now the Lord, what he was doing is Mridu Udaraha. If you see small children, very beautiful description by Bhattatri. If you look at small children, at times, small children, or you can about 3 4 years, you can always see that as compared to the other parts of the body, the belly, that is the stomach, looks a bit big, right? It is not actually big or so, but then as compared to maybe hands, feet or so, the stomach, the middle portion of the child looks big because why it happens. That's the reason why you see children they balance themselves and walk. They don't walk like how old people walk side by side. Similarly, children also walk in the same way. The reason being the other part of the body, hands, legs also, they're all small, right? Whereas the center part that is there, stomach usually, it seems to be big because the child cannot balance its body weight. The middle portion is always big. Big in the sense, but it looks big because other parts of the body are small. So here also Bhattatri says, Mridu Udaraha. The child also, he had a stomach that was actually small, but it looked big for the Lord. And the Lord was actually balancing that. On top of that, Mother Yashoda had tied a mortar around him, Damodar Avataram, right? So Nalakubera, this child was not listening to her. That's when he gives a Vishwarupa Darshanam, that is the entire Darshana of the universe. And Mother Yashoda gets angry, she ties him to the mortar, two trees are there. And the child slowly is moving about with that, balancing everything on the stomach. On the stomach, the rope is tied, and the child is moving about. So the Lord, the sages who were around, they became very happy looking at this. And they saw that there were two kakuba trees. Dvau kakubau udekshataha. Those fruit trees are nothing but these two people, Nalakubera and Manikri. Now they were actually Kubera's sons, Nalakubera, Kubera Sunuhu, Kubera Nalagriva, by worshipping Shiva. It seems that both of them, they were all great devotees of Shiva. Now if you see entire Vamsham, Kubera, Ravana and so on, they are all great devotees of Shiva. So these sons of Kubera were also Shiva devotees, but in the course of time they became proud. They felt that everything is under our control only. And they started behaving differently to people. Like when pride comes in, we lose our mind. So the same thing these two also did. Finally, what happens is, one fine day, it seems that Narada, Surapagayam Kilatau Madotkatau Sanarada, verse number 3, Dashakam 48. So one fine day, what happens is, these two sons of Kubera, they were drunk, it seems, and in there was a water body. There, along with few women, they were enjoying themselves and they were moving about here and there. And that's when, and all this was happening in the Ganges, in the Ganga water. And so that's when Narada, he goes there, and suddenly when Narada comes, all the women also were there around. They also rushly, they were also in the water body also, so they immediately they put on their clothes here and there and they go away from there. And that's when the Narada says that, oh, these two are totally out of their minds, they don't know what they are doing. That's when he gives them a curse in the sense, uh, now this curse was not because they did something wrong, but to bring them back on track, right? So saying that, for you have to attain bhakti also, for that you might have to go through something. So this is nothing but karma, so that they're brought back on the right track. So that's when the shapa moksha, the shapa, or you can say the what was told by Narada has been told in verse number 5. Yuvam avaptau kakubhat matam chiram. You too will become kakuba trees. Kakuba, I think if I'm not wrong, in English you call the Arjuna tree, Ashoka tree. That tree you will become. Finally, when you see Lord Hari, that is nothing but Lord Krishna in the form of Damodar Avataram. Finally, you will attain moksha, you will go to Kubera Loka. And thus they went to the outskirts of Gokula, Braja, and that's how there they became these true Arjuna trees. And finally, the Lord, he was moving about, he had mortar with him slowly, he was passing about and he moves them. While the Lord was Atindra Mindra Yugam, meaning the two trees were there, the Lord also was moving there. And now the mortar was big, the child was small, and the two trees were actually obstructing the path of the Lord. So that's when he pulls the mortar towards him, that's when both the trees they fall down. And what happens is, two yakshas, that is the two sons of Kubera, they emerged from those trees and they call out Govinda Bhavana Pistavaihi, verse number 7. They call out to Lord Govinda, and that's how Shapa Moksha takes place. Um, Now Bhattacharya finally concludes in verse number 9. He says that in this world, that is in Bhulokam, devotees or bhaktas, what they do is they pray to you and they attain you. But here, even the devotees of Lord Rudra, that is great Shiva bhaktas also, with the grace of Narada, they reached your feet. That is through this incident of Shiva Moksha. Through this incident of Shapa Moksha. So this is how happened to Nalakubera Manigriva. Finally, last verse number, this is verse 8, verse number 9, what happens is, the entire Gokula, it was afraid by the sound of the trees, what happened to the child and so on. And now Yashoda Devi feels ashamed. She says, because of me, my child today had to escape death. Otherwise, the trees would have fallen on him. Nanda gives her a glance, it seems. Vyamokshinandena, saying that why you did this. That's when Yashoda Devi, she feels ashamed of herself. And here finally Bhattatri concludes that Bhavan Vimokshadaha, just as Nanda goes and he removes the rope around the Lord's uh, hip, or so Lord's waist, And that's when, just as Nanda released you, similarly, O Lord, you release us from the cycle of birth and death, from the cycle of samsara. With this, Bhattatri concludes his Dashakam, and finally he says that, thus, even to trees also you show your grace, O Lord, but you are not freeing me from my ailments. And he says that here even Yashoda also has a prayer. Now she doesn't know that the Lord, because of the Lord, the two trees they got Shapa Moksha also. She prays to the Lord, saying that with your grace, these two trees did not fall on my child, so therefore my child is safe today. That is again your grace. So you see this, why this Nalakubera Manikriva Avataram is important is there are two prayers that are made. Child, the two yakshas they got moksha, that is one. Now Yashoda Devi is not aware of that. Yashoda Devi prays that, she prays to the trees, saying that the trees have fallen in such a way that nothing has happened to my child is safe today. This is nothing but the grace of the Lord only. So there are two kinds of prayers here. Bhattatri highlights both. Aparikshitaha aduna, verse number 9. Sorry, verse number 10 if you see. Bata arba, now all the people of Gokula, what they said is Bata arbakaha harehe prabhavat aparikshataha aduna, meaning nothing has happened to our child Krishna with the grace of Lord Hari. None of them know that the child itself is Lord Hari. Lord of, so therefore Bhattatri prays, O Lord of Guruva, you everyone you are freeing from their ailments. Yashoda Devi is praying something. The both yakshas they got Shaba Moksha. To trees also you are showing your grace. To yakshas you are showing your grace. To Yashoda Devi also you blessed her. But O Lord of Guruvayur, Pahi Mam Gadar, please save me from my ailments also. With this, Dashakam 48 comes to an end. Ah, you want to say something, Sanjay ji? Hmm. Correct. Hmm. Correct. Okay. So with this, we will stop here. Dashakam 48 comes to an end. So in Dashakam 49, what happens is, now we saw Nalakubera, Manigriva, who were given Shapamoksha is done to both of them. Further, what happens is, now finally what happens, all the Gopas, Gopikas, the people of Gokula, they decide that maybe this place is dangerous for us. So let us move to a safer place because a lot of ill omens happening, a lot of attacks happening, and so on. Just as all of us also, if in a particular place, uh, vastu, things like that, we also see, right? So here also, the people felt that there were a lot, right from the time the child was born, Putana came, Trinavarta came, these trees they had fallen and so on. So like this, in many places, if you see, there were ill omens that were taking place. So they all decided to prayatum anyatra, let us migrate to some other place. That's when Vrindavana Pravesham is done. At that time, what happened is, it is as if the Lord Himself willed. There was a person called Tatra Upananda, Dashakam 49, verse 2. Upananda is the name of a person. By the God's will, he comes there and says that nearby there is a beautiful forest called Vrindavanam. Vrindavanam Nama Virajatiti. It is towards the Paschima Bhagam, that is towards the west of Gokula. There, all of us can go and settle down. That's when Nanda, uh, what happened is, Nanda and all the other fellow Gopas who were there, they started making arrangements and they, because the child was also small, so Yashoda Devi had to carry the Lord very carefully and Nanda ensured that all proper arrangements were made and they all started settling there. Now, while the all it now very beautiful description here, verse number 4. Anafmano Nedhvani Denupali, horses. Now all the transport in those times, just as today we move in big packers, movers, trucks also, in those times everything was being carried on, maybe on a bullock cart or horse cart, things like that. People were carrying things in their hands. So from Gokula to Vrindavana, while they were going, it seems that the Gopas and Gopikas, they did not feel any burden. When we shift houses or so much of trouble we have to take, right? But here they did not feel, because very playfully all of them were going together. They were chanting the names of the Lord, singing songs also, and of course the Lord was also there. So that's when the Lord, it seems that as soon as he entered Vrindavanam, Niriksha Vrindavanam Ishanandat, the Lord himself became very happy, it seems, when he saw Vrindavanam. All the flowers were full in bloom, trees were there, and the land was very, very beautiful, it seems. Now, what happened is, now Vrindavanam was actually a forest. Even today, also, if you go to Vrindavanam, today, of course, a lot of development, things like that have taken place, but originally it was a forest. So, to build a house or so, all settlements that were there, everything had to start from scratch. It was not that houses were ready, you have to just move in. It was not that way. So all the Gopas had to go there, They took sticks, this, that. They started building houses for themselves, like a shed or so. That's when all of them finally settled down. And at that time, what the Lord and his friends, what they did is they went around the forest. They said that let us go and explore the forest while our houses are getting ready. So that's how the Lord spent. That's when finally Yamuna Darshanam. Arala Marga Gata Nirmala Kalinda Kanya. That's when the Lord saw the daughter of Kalindaha, that is nothing but Kalindi or the Yamuna river which was flowing nearby. And this was the first darshanam which the Lord gave to Yamuna Nadi. And the Nadi also became very happy. Finally, next is Govardhana Darshanam. Finally, the Lord gave darshana next to Govardhana. Girim cha Govardhana Maikshata Swam, verse number 8. Finally, the Lord saw the big, huge Govardhana mountain. It also had a lot of peacocks and things like that there. And the peak of the Govardhana mountain was so high, it seems. Virinchalokaha, Virinchaha, another word for Brahma, is as if it touched Brahmaloka. Such huge were the peaks of Govardhana. So Yamuna Darshanam is done, Govardhana Darshanam is done. Now what happened is further, now like this, they were all strolling and exploring the forest. That's when the Lord goes ahead with all the other fellow Gopa boys also. And it seems that they were walking Apashyaf Kalindaja, Kalindi Nadi. That is, Yamuna Nadi was as if waiting patiently for the Lord and his friends to come and explore, to move around and so on. So all the group of boys, they were walking around the banks of the Yamuna river. And Yamuna Nadi, it seems that it started shedding tears, it seems. And there are some, it's not mentioned here directly, but some folklores also, they say that Yamuna Nadi starts shedding tears, it seems. And if you see, in happiness, and those tears which fell from the eyes of Yamuna, goddess Yamuna, that merged with her own waters, it seems. And that's how a little, if you see Yamuna Nadi as such, if you see, is quite black, right? And whenever we have tears also, if you are crying out of grief, when we cry, at time tears are usually hot, but happy tears are always cold. All of us, we have our own experiences. Maybe nobody should cry out of grief, but definitely during happy tears also, if we experience, you can definitely know this. And here Yamuna Nadi, it seems that her tears felt very cold and they mixed with the cool waters of Yamuna. So like this, all folklores are there, which shows the happiness of Yamuna Nadi when she got the darshana of the Lord for the first time. Finally, Vattatri concludes his Dashakam saying that finally then Krishna along with Balarama and all the other boys, they bought small cows together. They started playing here and there. They grazed. Now, if you see, they had cattle. Their main occupation was grazing the animals, selling milk, and so on. So they all bought the cattle along. Finally, Samira Geha Dipapa Hirogat. O Lord of Guruvayur, kindly protect me, kindly free me from this illness. With this, Bhattatri concludes Dashakam 49. Dashakam 50, again, what happens is finally Vrindavanam, the description of Vrindavan. Here, what happened? Vrindavana Pravesham is done in the previous Dashakam. Now, further description of Vrindavanam, wherein now it seems that how was the Lord? Bhattatri here cries out, Taralamadukrit Vrinde Vrindavaneta Manohare Haladhara Sakaha, along with his brother Haladharaha, that is Balarama, Deva Shriman, meaning the wife of God, the husband of God is Mahalakshmi, along with Balarama and all other boys. The Lord was moving about here and there. He had a flute in his hand, he had a cane in his hand, he had a horn, it seems. Horn, H-O-R-N, horn. Why horn? Gavala Murali Vetram. Small cane also to tend the cattle, a flute in his hand, a venu in his hand to, or a murali you can call it, in his hand to play the flute, and also a horn to call out to his fellow boys. And that's when further what happens is, here Bhattatri says that, O Lord, you set your feet on Bhulokam in this beautiful forest of Vrindavanam. These are the same feet, same 2 feet, which have been carried by Goddess Mahalakshmi in Vaikuntham. The same feet you have come down, the same Lord has come down today to protect this world, to protect this beautiful forest of Vrindavanam. And when you did this, it seems that even the trees, creepers, rivers also of Vrindavanam have attained bliss today. Even they are also blessed. O Lord, please come and bless me. It is said that in Vrindavanam, even the trees that are there, they are also considered to be blessed. That's the reason you see in some places, I'm not sure whether it is in Vrindavanam, but even to trees, mud also, even before entering Gokulam Vrindavanam also, people, if you see, they bow down. Even to the mud also they bow down. Of course, such samskaras we don't have, but in general, even if you remember in the Ramayana also a reference comes wherein Rama, while he returns back to Ayodhya and while he leaves Ayodhya for Vanavasam, he bows down, carries little bit of mud in his hand. Why? From his own bhumi, mud has to be carried. He says that this is my bhumi. Bhumi Devi is also referred to as mother. One's own bhumi, one's Janma bhumi that is there, we must never ever forget. So therefore, Rama also does the same thing during Rama Avataram, wherein he says that even though I might go to any other land that is there, my Janma bhumi is something which I should never forget. A very, very important lesson, which all of us, at least in today's times, we must remember. Many of us have forgotten this. But the point is, which Rama also tells. He tells that my mother is there, my family is there, all that is fine. But my own Bhumi has supported me in this Bhumi. If only Bhumi Devi sustains, we can live, right? So therefore, it is very, very important to live in our own Bhumi. More than saying live in our own Bhumi, respect our own Bhumi. Wherever you live in whichever part of the world, respecting one's own Janma Bhumi is something which is very, very important, which both Rama and Krishna have showed through their avatars. Ah, you want to say something? Hmm. Correct. Mark of respect, correct. Even when you have all these construction projects that take place, we have something called Bhumi Pujan, right? This is the main significance of that. So here what happens is Bhattatri says that people from far and wide, even the trees, creepers, nature that was there, that was also bowing down to the Lord, it seems. And they also considered themselves to be blessed. Finally, what happens is there was cool breeze that was flowing around the banks of the Yamuna. The Govardhana mountain could be seen. That's when finally Venunadam, the Lord was sitting peacefully in a corner. He started playing his flute. And finally, what happened is Vatsasura comes in. An Asura in the form of a calf. Daityam Vatsakritim. He comes there. Now, what happened is, now there were many calves who were there. Along with that, this Vatsasura, he also mixes. So therefore, it was becoming very difficult to locate Vatsasura because everyone is a Vatsaha, right? Everyone is a calf. But there was a difference here. The Lord could immediately make out that this is not one amongst my calf. This shows that, now if you see, in our own belongings that are there. Say, for example, you have some pens, 5, 6 pen that is there. A person will come and put an extra pen there. Most of us will not be able to find because all pens look alike for us. But it is not at all so. The Lord shows a very, very important. I just give you an example. The Lord shows a very, very important lesson here, saying that something which belongs to us, or you can say something on which we have a lot of devotion or so, or we care for something like the calves here were the responsibility of the Lord. So each and every calf the Lord knew how the calf looked, how to distinguish it, and so on. And that's the reason the Lord pays attention to each and every devotee. That's the reason, just as we have the story, the Lord of Guruvayur says when people complain that hardly for a few seconds, oh Lord, I can get your darshana, I'm waiting in the queue for so long, then getting into your main sannidhi or so, the Lord says, you don't have to worry, you don't have to wait in the line and think that, oh, I'm not getting darshana and so on, because I am already seeing you. It is your ajnanam that you feel that you see me for a few seconds. For me, right from the time you're outside, or right from the time wherever you live in, day and night, day in, day out, I'm always seeing you. I'm waiting patiently for you to come. So, though you could not see me properly, I'm always seeing you. So, this is where a very important lesson is shown that the Lord has a look on all his creations properly. Here also, Krishna, he knew about which calves belonged to him. That's the reason he could distinguish that, oh, one amongst this is not my calf. What he did was Tamatha Charane Asura, who had come in the form of a calf, he held him with two of his legs and he threw him. He rotated him and threw him on a, you can say, at long distance. He threw him, and that's how the calf lost his life. Now, this, it seems that while in that force of throwing the calf, it seems that few branches of a tree or so were destroyed. That's when gods in Swargaloka, they became happy that they started showering flowers on the Lord. Finally, what happens is, now the children who were there, the fellow Gopa boys who were there, they did not know that suddenly where flowers started coming and falling on the Lord, right? Because they were all small kids, they could not make out. That's when the Lord now had to tell, he cannot tell, right? I just threw and then the God started showering flowers on me. Who will believe? Even if they believe, they're small children. So then at that time, the Lord, Sahelam Udairayaha, verse number 6. Just jokingly, the Lord said that when the Asura was thrown, in such a force I threw that the branches of the trees started shaking, and that's how flowers have been showered on me. Now, this was one Leela. Now, on another day, what happened? Kwachana Devase. On another day, after a few days, what happened is it was very hot. That's when the Lord went to the banks of the Yamuna river, to drink some water. Suddenly, what happened is the Lord saw a crane there, a bakaha, who was which was flapping its wings continuously, very forcefully. It was flapping. That's when what happened is, now again, that bakasura. Now the Lord, he did not notice this suddenly, and he felt that okay, maybe it's a normal crane or so, and the Lord started drinking water, and all the other fellow boys were also drinking water. That's when what happened is that swan started coming towards the Lord, and it seems that the boy was small. He swallowed baby Krishna inside, a small young Krishna inside, and but the Lord, what he did was he tore open the mouth of that, the beak, throatya, kotya, verse number 8. He tore open the beak of Bakasuraha, and he saved himself and also other the fellow Gopa boys. So here Bhattatri highlight that one who is capable of destroying evil people, like he tore open the beak of Bakasura, he will definitely destroy evil people. At the same time, he will also not only evil people, even in good people also there are some evil qualities, bad qualities that also will be destroyed by the Lord. The same thing is highlighted here. Khalajana Bida Chanchuhu. Further, what happened is the Bakasura also attained death. And next, what now here, if you see, Bakasura died to meet his dead sister Putana. But next, what happened is his younger brother of Bakasura, Aghasura, was waiting for the Lord. Anujam Aghammapi. So Putana is dead, sister is dead, Bakasura has gone to meet her in Yamaloka. But next now, his younger brother Aghasura is waiting to follow him. And now what happened is again the Lord started showering flowers also, and finally the Lord went home from the forest of Vrindavanam. Now, while the Lord used to return home, when the Lord used to return home, also he used to play the flute and return home. That's when the Gopikas, they used to become very happy. They used to be patiently listening because they knew that in the evening the Lord, along with the fellow Gopa boys, will return home. That's when the parents of the Lord, Yashoda and Nanda, also used to be patiently waiting for the Lord to return home. Finally, what happened is they were all very much happy to see the Lord. And this is how you can say this Leela, Vrindavan Leelas that are there, they come to an end. Of course, there are a few more Leelas that are there. But the three says, just as people become very happy when you come, similarly, O Lord of Guruvayur, you please free me from my ailment. Duri Kurushva Mamagan, Mama Mayan. Please free me from my ailments. I'm also here patiently waiting for you. Please shower your grace. Please make me happy also, just as you make fellow people happy. Yeah. With this, Dashakam 50 also comes to an end. So 50% we complete, 50% more to go. Okay, we'll stop here for today.